So what attracted you to this project?
I read the script and I loved it, and I wanted to do it, and the first thing that popped out at me was, I think audiences are gonna love this. If we do it right, audiences are gonna love it. Because, and by the way, it's how I read every script. Audiences love it, and I think if there's something that I could put my spin on and create a character, I think that is interesting and has some heart and a decent quality to him. So I read it, loved it, and I knew immediately I wanted to make it. Immediately I told Bo Flynn, our producer that I wanted to make it. Kevin Sujihara that I wanted to make it. Toby Emmerich that I wanted to make it. Everyone knew that I wanted to make it probably within 24 hours, and then we're sitting here today and we made it. That was awesome.
It's great. So tell us a little bit about your character.
His name is Chief Pilot Ray Gaines, and what I loved about the character was that he was a real man in terms of portraying, living a life that very unique men and women live in terms of being first responders. That in itself was an honor. And I also love the fact that he was struggling, and I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be divorced. I know what it's like to struggle to be like a good dad and appreciate the dad-daughter relationship that I have. I love that relationship, but a lot of times when you're divorced and you're going through it, and then post-divorce, you wonder, am I making the right decisions? Am I doing the right things? And you know, because everything is trial by error, and you just don't know. It's not like I have multiple kids, and so I know what it's like to struggle there too. I know, and so there were so many elements on the page about the man Ray Gaines that I immediately connected with on so many levels. And you know, so much so, it sounds kind of corny, but so much so when you read all these elements and then you read the script and it's done, you start to think, wow, I think this is kind of like, it's so funny, it's silly, this is very silly, where you think I think it's kismet. I think this is meant to be. I think it's meant to be that I play this guy at this particular time in my life. Couldn't have played him 10 years ago.
Right.
Would have been a different movie.
Now you have great chemistry on screen with Carla. Can you talk about working with her? You've worked with her in the past, right?
I love that woman. She's great. She's beautiful. She's smart. Always super prepared. And what's great about Carla is I think she's a rarity where you have a great balance of intellect, and she projects that on screen, vulnerability, which is hard to do, especially I think in Hollywood, because it's not the place we love going to. Like, oh, let's be vulnerable. Oh, you want to be strong, and you know, millions of people are watching it. So she has really these wonderful qualities, and she's just such a dynamic actress and brought the weight to this film, and I appreciate it. I mean, we always joke, we're very close. It's our third movie we've done together. I mean, we always joke. After every take, I'm like, honey, you're so amazing. Thank you. She's like, no, you were too. I'm like, no, all I do is like, yes, no, yes. Like, those are my lines, and she has these amazing monologues. I love it.
It was great. Now, as far as prepping for your role, physically, I know that it was important for there to be some realism to the scene, so you did do a lot of stunt work, correct? Did you have to do any preparation for that? And also just for the character you played, what kind of preparation did you do for that?
Tremendous amount of prep for the stunts. Great stunt coordinator, Alan Poppleton, who we've worked together on Hercules, worked together on San Andreas. He's doing Central Intelligence, so I love that guy. And he, you know, when you make a movie like this guy, the man who I had the honor of playing, has 20 years under his belt, over 600 documented rescues, so everything is precise, and behind his eyes, he's always thinking 10, 12, 15 steps ahead, assessing things very quickly, having to think on his feet, so movements have to be super precise and on point, and that's what great stunt coordinators are able to do, and come in and fight choreographers, and they're able to help you. The time I spent with first responders, LAFD, life-changing. And I'm so grateful, because in the past I've had an opportunity to play some pretty cool guys in the past, and fun characters, but this was on a whole other level. For example, the character in Fast and Furious I played, in Hobbs, there is a heightened level of reality there, right? I don't go around, not a lot of guys go, yeah, daddy's gotta go to work. I'm not talking like that, but you get this guy who flies this thing, like a lot of men and women out there who are very unique and very, very, very special, and made up of a different DNA than a lot of us, where we will run away from destruction. Well, they run into it, they fly into it. So it was the prep I did for this was life-changing, and I so appreciate the time I was able to spend with those guys.
Yeah. So what do you hope audiences, this will appeal to all audiences, what do you hope that they take away from this?
I hope that audiences will take away, number one, wow, that was awesome. That was an awesome movie. And number two, I think they will experience it how I experienced it with my family, who they're not actors or they're not studio executives or producers. So when we watched the movie down in Florida, our little hometown, afterwards we go, wow, that was great, awesome. And then you start to think, wow, and then what about the visual effects of this? And when the tsunami hit, look at this. And when that building hit, and then the question becomes, well, I wonder what would you do? What would you do if this really happened? What would you do? Because we like to think, well, I think I'd be heroic. I think I would go save that person. You never know. And then that sparks a whole other level of dialogue. And then you start to think, are we as prepared as we possibly can be? And then what about for the people who aren't in California, who aren't in earthquake areas? Well, are they going to be entertained? 100%. So overall, I think audiences, what I hope they take away from it is, wow, they raised the bar, and they redefined the genre of disaster movies, and the star was pretty good.
I'm sure they will take that away.
Yeah.